Welcome back. In the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack that saw 26 innocent people getting killed, we also saw India launching a diplomatic offensive against Pakistan. In fact, a series of security review meetings are also happening in India. What is going to happen next is anybody's guess. But of course, there is a lot of thought and emphasis on calibrated action. We have an expert here with us, somebody who has spent his lifetime in the security forces, somebody who has been at the forefront of these kind of decisions, Pankaj Singh, former Deputy National Security Advisor. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh, for joining us on NDTV. My first question to you, sir, very basic question. What are the options that India has now? Because there's a lot of emphasis on calibrated action. There have been many security meetings that have taken place. People keep reminding everyone of what happened in Uri and, of course, in Pulwama, and what should India be doing next. As someone who's experienced enough to know that these decisions cannot be taken in a fraction of a second, what do you think the people who are at decision-making levels now would be thinking, and what is the way forward?
Well, as is the history in the past, for whatever things that our friendly neighbor has been doing to us, India has always given a very calibrated, very weighted response, whether it was Balakot or any other issue. In the current context also, I think the entire media, the people of India, the different organizations, as well as even the opposition parties have very categorically stated that whatever action India takes, I think it will be good for the country and they will go by it. So if we talk of the kind of options that are available with our country, I guess some kind of a kinetic response which would be immediate and which would send a very clear-cut message that nothing will be taken for granted. I think that the government has been contemplating, and let's see in times to come. But this kind of a kinetic response, well, the time, the place and the target is something that needs to be to our liking, and not to, because Pakistan has been telling all the time that it is prepared to counter any kind of action that India takes. And on the long-term perspective, I guess there are many options that India can take on whether it's the diplomatic front, whether India can use the leverage of its standing on the G20, whether it's the BRICS, whether it's the SCO, or any other formation. Or India has a wonderful equation with the Middle Eastern countries, with Africa, with Southeast Asia also. So I think on the diplomatic front, try to cut off the assistance that Pakistan has been getting on the military front, on the economic front, try to use leverage in organizations as World Bank to cut off the funding, to cut off the multilateral aid that Pakistan has been getting. So that would be a long-term perspective, and India should pursue that in a very concerted manner so that it has an all-round effect, apart from the kinetic one which the government would be deciding.
Absolutely. Mr. Singh, there's also been a lot of talk about the drone menace that we have witnessed from Pakistan. What kind of technologies should India equip itself with to, counter something like that?
India has been affected by this drone menace from Pakistan for a long time, and they've been dropping in weapons, drugs, and all kinds of nefarious things across the Indian side to create disturbance, to equip their ill intentions. The government of India has been very liberal in sanctioning the anti-drone systems, whether it's the Border Security Force or the Army or the Air Force at the borders. And these have been used very usefully in bringing the drone menace down by countering them, by jamming them, and by even getting details from the drones which have been brought down, so that to get a very incontrovertible proof as to where these drones originated from, where did they land, and what was the possible kind of stuff that they were carrying, whether it was weapons and all. So, and India, you see, in any kind of a system, apart from, as recently I think Israel observed and earlier US observed, apart from the technical knowledge that you have, I think it's very, very essential to have the human int also going along with it. So India has been using at the borders very good line of sources with the Indian Army, with the Border Security Force, and they've done a wonderful job in getting to the people who have been flying these drones, their source, and who the culprits are on the Indian side also.
Right, Mr. Singh, how should we also, strengthen the security grid in J&K, because, the hunt for those terrorists is still on, and I'm sure the armed forces are also facing a lot of challenges because the terrain is such. What do you think are the challenges, with respect to recent times, and how does India ensure that, in this whole assault of cross-border terrorism, we also ensure that our security grid is potent and functional all the time?
Well, the security grid consists of the LOC, where line of control, where you have the army as well as the border security force. Inside you have the central armed police forces, the CFC, RPF, you have the Jammu and Kashmir police, you have the Rashtriya Rifles, all combined as far as the visible action is concerned. Apart from them, you have an array of intelligence agencies, whether these are the central or the state agencies, which chip in at different times with the different kinds of intelligence that is available to them. So I think there's a very good synergy in the paramilitary forces also. But like you said, the terrain being what it is, hugely forested, and if you even take into consideration the amount of snow that has appeared in the high reaches this time, very little snow has come on the higher reaches, as a result of which moving across or moving in from across the border to our side becomes much easier. The terrain is very, very thickly forested, so even if you have aerial kind of survey, reconnaissance, or any kind of thing happening aerially also, and if a person can just stay put there or be silent, I think it will be very difficult to track them. So basically, one, use your own intelligence network, use the forces which are there at the borders, and the state has cultivated very good sources at the borders. So I think in times to come, they have chanced the terrorists who went away from Pahalgam at least 4 times. They were cited. But I think it's a matter of time before the government gets to that. And
NIA is specifically, officially taken over this probe. In fact,
NIA will do it once they have registered the case, and they will take over the investigation progress and the process once we nab the terrorists.
Right. Thank you so much for explaining to us the process and the protocol that goes into something like this. Thank you so much, Pankaj Kumar Singh.